Airbnb is dying, and this founder is doing something crazy to keep it alive. So the company that the co-creator of Airbnb started is called Samara. They are basically helping homeowners who have empty space on their property or in their backyard bring a tiny home, modular home, some people call them an ADU, accessory dwelling unit, whatever you want to call it. It is a smaller footprint building that'll live in your backyard and ultimately be another place for revenue on what is considered maybe dead space. Now, this could potentially be a play for Airbnb, obviously to expand their footprint and have more offerings. The modular home or tiny home sector continues to grow. One of the biggest startups in the world of early stage startup investing is a company called Boxable that's raised a lot of money and sitting at a multiple billion-dollar valuation because the demand and the rise of modular homes and smaller tiny homes is definitely there. So the question is, do I think that the average American might consider something like this as an investment that they could jump into and put or place a modular home on their property? Well, the average cost of one of these units is close to $280,000, $290,000. So, it would take you a few years, obviously, to continue to rent out, get the revenue from it, but ultimately it would pay for itself in a short period of time, especially if you're in the right market. And one of the other neat things about Samara is that they pretty much handle everything. They handle permitting, they have delivery, they handle all the local municipalities and understanding of the rules and regulations there, and they build according to the code. So that is actually very impressive. And then I would imagine with their services and what you can tap into, you could pretty much move quickly into their ecosystem and start renting very, very quickly once the product is on the ground and you have it installed and you're ready to go and you've passed all of the codes. Let me talk about investing in something like this. Obviously, there is a movement right now in the modular home sector. People are jumping into it. There is, I would say, somewhat of an arms race right now for this particular sector. But who knows who will win on the other side? Now, if somebody like this founder, Joe, has deep pockets and a deep network and database, he might be able to see more success than someone like a Boxable who's coming from the ground up. Now, Boxable has been able to raise a lot of money. Even Elon Musk talked about living in one of these tiny modular homes. I guess the ultimate question is something like this a good or bad investment? Well, what you want to do is you want to make sure you're looking at the sector. Is the sector growing? Yes, the sector is growing. Why is it growing? Well, we're in a little bit of a housing crisis. Houses are not affordable. People can't afford them, especially younger people are kind of priced out of being able to own a home. Ultimately, it's the lowest home ownership in the 35 and under that we've seen in quite a long time. So a product like this does actually offer some real viable options for somebody who maybe doesn't have the means to buy a house. Maybe they could buy a small plot of land and they only want a 500 or 600 or 700 square foot place like Samara's offering. The thing is this, if you're trying to invest in a company like this, one of the things I share often is sometimes you're at the mercy of the local municipality. And maybe that startup could get grants and funding. Now, I know right now that California is hardcore because their housing crisis is really a big deal. And they've adopted this idea, this company, and they're okay with making this a reality and bringing this to residences' homes across the state. Now, I think there's 8 or 9 other states that are currently working on the laws and legislations to make Samara possible so that someone could come and place a modular home in their backyard. These are called ADUs or accessory dwelling units. Now, people will hear the term modular home and maybe think of a mobile home park or a trailer park of sorts. Now, it's really not that different, but the business model on it is different. And a lot of municipalities have actually shut down and don't make it possible for what we know as traditional mobile home parks or trailer parks to be built. So where does this fall, right? This is a different thing. So I think a lot of government municipalities are going, hey, this is different than that. We see this as a different way to actually make revenue off of that. So they're looking to become more favorable to the accessory dwelling units versus a mobile home or mobile home park. The housing crisis is upon us. We need smaller, more opportunities, more places for people who can afford and to get into it. The price starts around $289,000, $290,000. So this looks like it has the potential to be a really successful startup, but you never know. They've got good founders. They've got a good track record. They have a built-in ecosystem with Airbnb already being able to tap into it. And ultimately, the kind of done for you, do it all for you service that Samara's offering looks really exciting. If I was investing, going to do this in my backyard or even invest in this company, it looks like they have the right path, the right ideas, and the right projections to see this business take off. I don't know if it'd bring returns like Airbnb did to its early investors, which was insane amounts of money, but it looks like they're on the right path and have the potential to return dollars to their investors. So yeah, I like this business. I like the idea of investing in something like this. So ultimately, the biggest question I think we have to ask is why? Why is Airbnb doing this? Well, it seems to me any business is always trying to find a way to make sure that they aren't dying. If you're not growing, you're dying. So they're trying to say, okay, what is something else we can do? Now, I don't know if their numbers are going down, if maybe things are changing. I mean, there's a big shift in economy. I was speaking with somebody, a buddy of mine the other day, that has an Airbnb in a very, very popular town that has a lot of traffic, and the traffic has died down significantly. So something's happening right now in the world of travel and Airbnb with the economy getting tighter, people's budgets getting tighter. They're probably slowing down and not moving as much. So I think Airbnb, this is probably a proactive way. They see that coming, going, okay, what is another way that we could engage or impact or add another business line to our entity, what we're doing and how we're making money. So for me, I think it's probably a smart move for Airbnb. The more you can diversify, the more you can spread out and be strategic about it. They're not just being strategic about it from a getting listings perspective, but this founder, Joe, is actually getting a piece of the pie when they sell these tiny homes, these modular homes, these ADU units. And I believe this gives them the ability for years to come to be relevant and continue to see their business take off. So Elon Musk himself, one of the richest men in the world, most influential man in the world, lives in a small modular home just like one of these. And so there's a movement happening. And I'm going to be really interested to see what happens. Obviously, as a husband and dad, 5 kids, we won't be moving into any one of those anytime soon. But I could see a world on a piece of property or in a backyard. If you say, hey, look, I'd like to make an extra $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month in revenue, I could have one of these back there, rent it out 15, 20, 30 days a month and see extra money coming my way and make it an option for someone who maybe needs a short-term rental or a long-term rental and can't afford a traditional house or even an apartment. This may be an option for them. So yeah, I see this as a viable market. I see this as something that's coming. I think there's a world coming before us that is changing. And I think even the living habits and the travel habits, especially the younger generation, are changing. And I think they're okay with something like this. So love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? Do you think ADUs and tiny homes and these modular homes are here to stay? Or do you think it's a fad and it's going to be going away here as soon as it came? Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video on the world of equity crowdfunding, learning the ins and outs. I'm excited to tell you that I just wrote a brand new book called The Angel Advantage. And it shares everything I've learned over the years of startup investing. All you have to do is click the link down in the description and you can go get your copy right now.